time to start your engines and be part of the conversation. You can always ask the experts, Raffi and Dan Rosenberg, because it's now time for Clutch Radio. The show starts now.
Hello. Hello. Welcome to Clutch Radio. It's Saturday, July 8th, 2023.
Yes, it is.
Adam Jones says, morning, fellas. Hello, Adam. We are here every week. We talk about buying, selling, trading, leasing, credit, whatever.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. A little bit we do. Now, if you are joining us for the first time ever, where the hell have you been? We've got interesting things today. We've got quite a few interesting things. First off, we have a bring a trailer auction.
Yes.
Ending.
Yes. Ending in, let's see, I think 27 minutes. So 23 minutes.
We'll jump in on that. I this morning went to the Rotary auction here on Bainbridge Island. I'll talk about that a little bit.
Good.
On the 22nd, we're having a very special episode. That's in 3 weeks.
Yes.
Ray Pepper says, greetings from Dutch Brothers in Port Orchard.
Dutch Brothers.
Oh, there's a Dutch Brothers there. I did not know that. I've never been to a Dutch Brothers. Apparently, they've got good coffee.
I thought it was the paint store.
I think it's a coffee store. Their paint is delicious.
Dutch Brothers is a paint, isn't it? A paint brand, Dutch Brothers paint.
I don't know. I thought that's
getting...
Dutch Girl.
That's the cleaner or the.
Okay, do I have to Google this now? I could have sworn Dutch Brothers was a coffee place. Dutch Brothers Coffee is a drive-through coffee chain out of Oregon with company and franchised throughout the country.
I don't drink coffee, so I wouldn't be up on that. But isn't Dutch Brothers also a paint?
Adam says it's good coffee. Ray says, "Oh my God, my treat to both of you. We have one right next to the dealership in Bremerton." And he says it's the best.
The best.
Dutch Boy is the paint.
Dutch Boy, that's it. Thank you.
I said Dutch Girl.
Dutch Boy paint. Thank you.
What a way to start the day. So at the auction today,
yes,
there was a 1990 Volvo station wagon.
Oh, the 240, I think.
I think the 240, 103,000 miles on the ticker.
Blue car.
And a stick shift.
Oh, it's a manual.
It was already at 3,100 when I left.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's a $2,000 car that's going to sell for $6,000.
That's a desirable car. Volvo wagon in general is desirable, but the 5-speed manual is very desirable.
So desirable that your face was frozen for a minute.
Oh, it froze me.
It might be me. It might be you. I don't know. So if you don't know what the Rotary auction is here on Bainbridge Island, a friend of mine in Pennsylvania said, so it's where middle-class people go to buy upper-class people's leftover crap. That's not bad.
Pretty close.
And it makes the upper-class people feel good that they're giving back.
But I will say this about the Rotary auction. Every year since we've lived here, and this is now, we're coming on 14 years, I think, this auction has upped their game to where it's close to making $1 million a year now.
It did 700 last year.
700 grand. Now to think about that for just a minute, this is the source, the primary source of income for Rotary, who does amazing things, not just in this community, but all over the United States and all over the world, in fact. And so for them to raise that much money from what is effectively a flea market.
And they do it from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. one day.
It's amazing.
6 hours.
And people
in and out.
People come from Oregon to buy at the Rotary auction. And the morning event is it's like they're selling Apple iPhones. It's just they drop the gate and a mob comes flooding in.
I got there at 8:10. because our good friend Isabel at Bainbridge North Storage holds a spot for me.
Nice of her.
Parked right in there, walked
Yes.
across the street. There were already people leaving, maybe 8:15, with tons of stuff going back to their car. They already got all their stuff.
Yeah.
And I had two goals. I wanted to look at the cars real quick.
Yep.
And then I wanted to get a treadmill, one of the small foldable ones, something that's easy to carry as well.
Weren't you on the treadmill already?
What's that?
Weren't you on the treadmill already?
Was that on the treadmill?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
When you worked for Tread.
Oh, Tread. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. It's too early.
Too early.
And so I stopped to talk to my friend Larry Judd, who always runs the sporting goods department there.
Yes.
And I said hello to him for a few minutes. And I go to walk over because I'm like, I'm in no hurry. I mean, they usually have 30 treadmills there.
Sure.
And by the end of the day, they're free. But if all they have is huge ones, I can't get that in here. I need one of those ones that kind of folds up, has wheels on it.
Sure.
So I walk by, there's a woman standing on one, and two guys are talking to her that work there. And they're like, well, this was in a box, and it was brand new in the box. Like somebody just dropped it off, and we just opened it up and set it up. And she's like, wow. She goes, you guys are really selling hard. He's, well, that's my job. And it was $70. She's like, yeah, you know what? This one just, I think, let me look at the bigger one. And then I'm like, yes, go look at the bigger one. Cause I'm going to go and go, I'll take it.
$70.
$70. And as soon as I'm like, it really interested. She goes, all right, I'll take it. And then all the others, I mean, they had one of those 50, but it was huge.
Yeah.
And it probably didn't work. They say, they tested it, so it works. And I overheard him say, when we test it, we turn it on. If it moves, great. But if they have all these features and, raise the incline.
Sure.
So I think I'll just probably Amazon it and just get one that way.
Yeah.
So that has nothing to do with cars. But I looked at the cars. I also wanted some shelves to go behind me here in the office, and nothing.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Back in Los Angeles, they may still do this event. They had, I want to say, at least on a monthly basis, it might have even gone to a weekly basis at one point at the Pomona Fairgrounds. We used to go every week on the weekend. They would have a car swap meet, and people would bring their cars, drive them up, park them in the spot. I think it was $10 to get in, and you put a for sale sign on the car. And back then they didn't have cell phones, so you put your phone number on the car for general contact. But what you did was you walk around and you look at other cars, and you come back every 10 minutes. And some people would have like a sign-up sheet, and people would put their name on the sheet so that they could talk to you in order, to try and be fair to people who seen it first, so to speak. And then you could sell your car. Now, I used to take a car there, and I'd sell it. Usually I'd sell it within the first part of the day. And I'd take my cash, and I would go looking around, and I would buy another car, and I would go with one car and come home with another. And this was back when you did cash transactions. Nobody was writing any checks. And oftentimes you bought a car. Oh, I'm selling it for the owner. Here's the signed title. And you'd just pay the cash, and off you'd go and get it titled and registered. But I picked up Mustangs there,
wow,
Camaros, all kinds of things. And usually what I do is I'd bring them home, fix them up, clean them up, sometimes do a little detail work under the hood, put fresh battery. I had a deal with a buddy of mine at the end of town. He worked at the Mark C. Bloom tire store. Oh. And I would get used tires and put them on. Still plenty of tread. And back then, nobody cared what date those tires were made. As long as they had tread on them, they were good tires. So that usually worked. And I, was able to make enough money to get through college.
Wow. Well, there you go. You illegally operated a dealership.
Yeah, and back then they didn't have limits. Now I think you can only sell, is it 6 cars per year? Or?
Depends on the state. Some are 3, but if you sell them for profit, it's 0.
Oh,
Like
really?
you're not allowed to do dealer activity without a dealer license. So
Interesting.
unless you're, because you can sell your own car. I bought a car,
Yeah.
registered it, and I decided I don't need this car, or I'm moving, I need to get rid of it. That's not dealer, because usually you're not making money that way. But if you go out, buy a car to flip it, fix it up, technically that's illegal in almost every state, even
Now,
with one car.
Is there a time restriction? Say you buy a car and keep it for a year and sell it. If it's your private,
your personal car,
vehicle.
you can do the 3 or 5 or whatever the limit is. That's based on, you can do those, and they're not going to say anything. But if you are doing it as dealer business, meaning you're buying wholesale, selling retail, you shouldn't be profiting, because cars usually depreciate.
Right. And most cars do. Most
Yeah.
cars will depreciate. You can buy cars that have some mechanical challenges. You can buy them for less, fix them yourself, save the money on the repair, and then sell it for more than you paid.
Yes. Then Ray has a question. He says, can I give a Stump Raffi question? I think this one he will answer correctly.
Okay.
So then you're not stumping Raffi.
Well, who knows? He might stump me. I don't know everything. I know most things.
Okay.
All right. Let's see.
Let's see what he says. Ray, go ahead, and you can either text it to me or put it in the comments. Oh, here we go.
Ready to be stumped.
What by far is the most profitable car company? It's not even close.
Okay,
so this profitable car company.
This may be a trick question, because it depends on the definition of car. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the most profitable car company is Mattel Toy Company. They have made billions, I think, if not millions, of die-cast Hot Wheels cars, and the profit margin is quite substantial for those die-cast model cars. So I'll go with Mattel.
He's going with Mattel.
They are profitable, and they have literally no overhead.
He says no, it is not.
No, it's
so
not.
You mean an actual car company?
An actual car company. Okay. Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, you already were mistaken, but let's see.
Of an actual car company. I'm going to say Honda.
Honda.
Yeah.
Honda.
See if that's the answer.
Interesting. He just sent me the number. He sent me the answer. It's not Honda.
Wow.
The clue I'll give you is it's an expensive car company.
I can't be Rolls-Royce.
No.
I know Rolls-Royce has had financial challenges for years, or Bentley. Then it's possible it could be
the silence.
Could it be? It can't. Well, it might be Ferrari, but Ferrari's owned by Fiat. I'll go with Ferrari.
Ferrari did deliver 13,221 new cars around the world. Total revenue $5.09 billion.
Wow.
And
their markup is certainly high.
Huge margin. Ferrari is the most profitable car manufacturer in the industry.
Yeah.
If you just take Ferrari not as part of, are they part of Stellantis?
Yeah, I guess
Fiat.
So. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Ferrari.
Ferrari is the most profitable car company. Honda is the most fuel efficient car company. I know that. We should make a clutch radio list of the mosts.
Well, what I wanted to talk about also today is, when I was in Pittsburgh last weekend for my class reunion, and I rented a Tesla.
You just reminded me of a story I'll tell you after yours.
I'm like, that wasn't funny. I'm like, I rested it. He's laughing at my
You
Tesla story.
rented a Tesla.
I had a Model 3.
Did you have to cage match with Musk to get it?
No, it was a Model 3, and I drive a Polestar, which is an electric car. I got to say, I love the Tesla so much better.
Really?
So much better. Just more intuitive.
Yeah.
I went to a supercharger, and you just walk up.
Yep.
And it recognizes the car. It knows the bill hertz, I guess.
Yeah.
Plug it in. Went into the grocery store in 25 minutes. It added almost 80% charge.
Mm.
I was already at 20. I mean, we filled it up.
Yeah.
And the car is smooth. The software is very intuitive. The steering wheel is very basic. Only 2 little wheels on the steering wheel. But you go on the screen and you say, I want to adjust the steering wheel. So, okay, the left one is now your steering wheel adjustment, and you just move it, and it moves your steering wheel in and out and side to side and up and down.
It's hard to beat the Tesla. They got a huge jump on everybody to begin with, and the car was really quite good to start with.
Yeah.
And then they've had a decade to refine it, and they've done a really good job of making a superb product. In many ways, it is sort of the Apple computer of the car world, because they've leveraged a tremendous amount of the technology that comes out of the Silicon Valley, where they build these cars. And they've really been the standard for all other car companies to somewhat follow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of challenges with Tesla as a car company, and they have continually beat those challenges, including being a volume manufacturer. But the one thing about Tesla that I think people forget is that it's an American car company.
It is the most American car company. How about that?
It really is.
They did a study of all the most American cars made. The top 4 are the Model Y, the Model 3, the Model S, the Model X.
Yeah.
Those are the top 4. And then like Honda is like number 5.
Yeah. It's really funny.
I don't think in the top 10, one of the big 3 was even on there.
Well, it's because most of their sub-assemblies are being manufactured in other parts of the world. And look, that's just the way things are made nowadays. But the fact that Tesla has invested so heavily in American industry and is doing as much as they can here in the United States, I think speaks well of the car company. Now, say what you will about Elon Musk and some of his personal opinions and things that are emerging as he becomes something other than an automobile manufacturer. And listen, if the internet were around when Henry Ford was head of Ford Motor Company, some of the things that guy said.
He's a little anti-Semitic.
Just a little, you think?
A lot.
Yeah. Some of the things that guy said would have ruined you would never have seen a Mustang.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't have happened, because by time the Second World War came around, it would have been pretty much over for that car company. So people get themselves into a lot of trouble by being heavily vocal, and Musk is heavily vocal. So that's, I think, to a certain extent, somewhat affecting the buyers of his cars at this point. But you can't argue with the fact that the vehicles are pretty darn impressive.
The number 1 selling car right now
is the Tesla 3
Model Y, the Y.
The Model Y.
Yeah, because obviously Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado, and Ram 1500. Those are the top 3. They almost always are. Yeah. And I was talking to somebody yesterday. They're like, well, why are so many people buying trucks? I'm like, well, they include all the fleet sales in the overall sales. So you get a lot of companies buying them. You get a lot of farms buying them, agriculture, and a lot of people, have a truck and a car.
Well, and the other super important thing is most trucks are over 6,000 pounds. And so you can get full deduction for the purchase as you use it as part of your business. So
for businesses, buy a truck.
Gross vehicle weight over 6,000 pounds which was one of the main reasons why there were those enormous Hummers for so many years being driven by people who don't have any, it's a gross vehicle weight over 6,000 pounds is considered farm equipment. So
Yeah.
you get that value because you're buying farm equipment. It's for your farm. But it's unfortunately still a provision allowed in the tax code. So vehicles that are that heavy get that added savings. So
Yeah, but the Model Y was the highest selling non-truck.
yeah, and I give them a tremendous amount of credit because to be a car manufacturer, to make 13,000 cars, which is I think what you said Ferrari makes or made annually, that's nothing compared to making 300,000 cars, which I believe is now Tesla's made, I think they've now made over 1 million cars. But to make 300,000 of anything as complex as an automobile and do as well as they have, I think that's a huge, huge achievement.
Yeah. Tesla's actually made, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The total since they started, over 4 million cars.
4 million. Okay.
Yeah. They're going to do 1.8 million this year, and they did 1.3 million last year.
That's really, that's quite an achievement.
Yeah. Now the cars are, even in Pittsburgh, not known as a green city. Well, Pittsburgh itself probably is, but Pennsylvania, not known as a super, green. There were so many Teslas on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Here on Bainbridge Island, it's like, I see more Teslas than I see Camrys now.
Yeah.
And Honda. And my other rental I forgot to tell you about, when I was in Atlanta for the whole week, I had a Honda Accord.
Oh,
I've never had a Honda as a rental.
That is unusual.
Yeah. But Hertz had Honda Accords.
How was it?
And it was nice. It does not have the pickup that my car has.
I don't think many cars have the pickup your car
This
has.
is true.
Your
Even the
car,
Tesla did not. The Tesla was not even close to my car when it came to speed.
Your car, I think, is 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds.
3.8, 3.9 is doable.
That's, that used to be hypercar territory in terms of 0 to 60 speeds. And what's really interesting about your car, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't shut off and get weak after 60. It keeps going.
Oh,
That thing keeps pulling. It'll do 100, 0 to 100. It'll probably do that in maybe 9 seconds.
It'll do 60 to 100 in like a second and a half.
That's
that's the high end stuff. If I need to pass somebody really quickly, it's like boom. Like yeah. Now Adam's talking about the semi trucks that Tesla has. Those are are they out officially? I know he's been talking about those for a long time.
I don't know that they're out yet, but they're getting close to being done. And so is the Cybertruck, isn't it? The Cybertruck is still supposedly being made. Oh, by the way, switch your screen over. My auction is about to end. If the bids start coming in a little more. We are up at 9,600, which is quite good. And we'll see how it does coming into the final finish. We have 1 minute and 26 seconds left, unless new bids come in. When new bids come in, the clock advances back to 2 minutes and gives more time for further bids. So let's see what happens.
There you are.
In the next bids.
You've had some pretty active things happening recently on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah, there's been a lot of activity. I think when it comes to the summer, people they want to either sell their car or get something different.
This is here on Bainbridge.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
Is this one of our guys?
No, this was you might know the name Nakata. This was Glenn Nakata's personal motorcycle.
Oh yeah. Is he selling his are they going to sell his Camaro?
Already done.
Oh, it did sell?
It's already gone. Yeah. So Glenn passed away and his wife asked me to sell the car for him. So let's see. Let's hopefully
29 seconds.
Yeah, it's coming into the final seconds. And usually by this time, if no one has bid, that'll be the final bid. So this might be it. This would be a great purchase too for somebody, because this type of motorcycle is quite rare. So I'll be surprised to see if this is what the final bid is, but that's what it'll be. So yeah, it looks like it's going to close. Let's see here.
3, 2, 1. Wait, checking for last minute bids.
Sold. Okay. There it goes. Good. I'm going to say a thank you to the buyer, and I'll be just a minute so you can continue with your story.
Yeah. Did I have a story? But
You were, I guess your rental car story.
well, yeah. So I try to rent something different every time. They did have Polestars in. Hertz does do Polestars as well, but I didn't get one because I'm like, okay, I have that. This is Raffi's next car. This one ends in 4 days. 59 Chevy Corvette.
Isn't that nice?
That's a beauty.
Yeah.
In Sequium.
Yep.
Is this our friend up in Squim with a big collection?
Yes.
Yeah, he hasn't done any in a while. This is the first one for a while.
Yeah. He took a break.
I don't remember seeing this one at the. It's not white with a red interior, so I didn't realize it was his.
Yeah, it's a really unusual color. It's 1 year only color.
Oh, a top flight award?
Yeah.
Well, look at those nice displays. The old BF Goodrich tires. This is underpriced right now for sure.
Yes. But it's gonna get quite a few more bids as it goes along.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with Bring a Trailer, holy moly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cars on there. Like, let's see if there's any DeLoreans right now. I like to check in, see what's happening with the DeLorean. None right now. But here are the last few that have sold. Look at this one. This is the highest priced one ever.
Now,
$243,000.
You're showing it, but it's not appearing on the screen.
Oh, here we go. There we go. $243,000 one sold for. That's the high end. And the low end was $8,100. Oh, it's a white one. Why paint them? Oh,
White. Wow. I've not seen white.
this is a non-running project car.
Wow.
It's got a seized engine.
Oh, dear.
81's a lot of money for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that rust bucket in there. Wow. But you know what's expensive is, I forget which, it's either this front fender, I think it is the driver's side. When they shut the company down, they had finished stamping all the parts. So they had 30,000 extra parts, but they hadn't finished that one. And so that's super rare. Like that right there is a $5,000 part probably.
So you're still locked on that one screen.
Why does it still say, I'm saying, share this tab instead?
Yeah, I can't. I've not seen. I don't think I've ever seen a white one. It actually looks more like a Bricklin painted white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if it's wrapped, that's different.
That
you can
could
unwrap
be.
it.
But I don't know if wrap sticks to that stainless steel finish because it's.
Oh yeah, there's definitely been some good wrapped ones.
Okay, there you go. I actually am talking to a company in Silverdale that does wrapping, and he's quite good at it, and they do a great job, and they're very reasonable, $2,500 to $4,000 to do a car.
The actual Back to the Future used DeLorean, there were about 7 of them used in all 3 movies. The A car, the hero car, is at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, and it was totally refurbished. And a few people I know in the DeLorean community were involved in doing that.
Now they made, was it 2 or 3 gold-plated ones for?
They made 2 officially through American Express.
Yeah,
and then a few people did some on their own.
It's pretty ridiculous.
One's at the Peterson, and one is in a private ownership, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had like a tan interior, gold wheels, gold body.
Ugly. Well, gold as a material is a very, very highly effective heat insulator. And so the McLaren F1, which was the first McLaren supercar made, has an interior engine. Well, it's mid-engine, so there's a shroud that covers the portion of the bodywork, and it's basically an insulation blanket, but it's lined with a thin film of gold. And that gold, when the car was made, gold was, a couple $100 an ounce. Now, that insulation blanket, if you have to replace it in your car, the blanket alone has about $30,000 worth of gold in it. Because gold is, what is gold? 1,700 an ounce now? It's very, very high.
See.
So
1930.
1930. So it's almost $2,000 an ounce. So you can imagine, and it's a large piece of insulation. And even though it's thin, it's still quite valuable. An ounce of gold is $2,000. So you can see
gold.
Yeah.
So Ray mentions the Stokes auction that he likes to.
Yes.
He sells some cars here and there, and there's a familiar vehicle in there.
Okay, what do we got?
Well, first we've got the first few are buses.
Oh yes. And by the way, a well-maintained bus can be a lot of fun to own. They're easy to convert. You can do a lot of stuff with them. You don't have to repaint them to use them privately, but they encourage you to remove the school lettering on the sides. And generally speaking, when they recommission them or take them out of commission, they remove the school lettering. One of the most popular, believe it or not, school buses are the yellow painted short bus.
Yeah.
And the short buses are, for some reason, everybody wants a short bus because of some of the mockery that goes along with it. But nevertheless, buses are great because they're basically trucks that you can haul things around in. And the interiors, the cabin areas and the passenger area are usually pretty well maintained and easy to keep clean. And they're easy to convert into campers or RVs.
Look at this.
Yeah.
2017 minivan.
Is that a Mazda?
No, it's a Chrysler.
Chrysler, okay.
Dodge Grand Caravan.
Yep. Okay.
Only 7,700 miles.
Wow. That's really low.
It's like brand new. It's at 8,250 already.
Yeah, that's well, and what year is it? 2017?
Yeah. Here's a 17 Hyundai Santa Fe for 16,200.
Wow.
Here's a Dodge Charger SE for 2,150.
God. Yeah,
I wish I had a need for a bus. Like I would love to do a tour, like buy one of those buses and have it just converted into a tour bus.
Tour bus.
2,550 for an 08 Rabbit. Here's Ray. Here's
bad.
One of Ray's cars.
That Rabbit's not bad. Is that
2,575 for an Audi A4 Quattro?
How much?
It's at 2,575 right now.
That's not bad. How many miles on the Quattro?
This one has 126.
Those cars will go 200 easy. Buddy of mine has one that just clocked 200K. And he said he's actually starting to worry about it because nothing's gone wrong since he bought it. And he bought it with 86,000 miles on it. And he's put over 100K on it. And he says nothing goes wrong. Now, to be fair, this guy every year, without fail, changes the oil, changes the brake fluid, changes the transmission fluid. He not just flushes the transmission fluid. He has a new pan gasket put on. He does everything on it. This car's in great shape, by the way.
Ray said he should have put it on the front line and retailed it, but he sent it to Stokes. Now the next item is the one we know.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
It's been around a few times now.
Yep. And what's the bid on it now?
It's currently at 23.25 with 57 bids.
That's going to sell well. That's a popular rig.
Yeah.
There's money to be made on that. Yeah, the hood's a little bit of a downer, but so what?
Yeah. It's a work truck.
Yep. That's what it's supposed to do.
Look, it's got a big thing in that bed, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's a big plus.
A little patch right there.
No problem. Work
Look at
truck.
that back seat. Never been sat in.
Yeah, looks like it.
So they've got some cool cars at the Stokes auction.
Yes, they do. And nowadays with Good Morning Jay.
Good morning. Is that a COVID? What symbol is that?
That looks like a COVID star.
COVID, smiley face, sunshine. All right.
There's a boat. They sell boats at Stokes.
Yeah. I did see a nice little Boston Whaler today at the auction, but it was already at like $8,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. It's, if you're going to buy a boat, if you have to buy a boat, buy a used one, because new ones are expensive, and you're never going to make any money on a boat, even if you buy and restore one. The first and only boat I have ever owned was a 17-foot Chris Craft boat. And I thought, well, I'll just restore it. It's just made out of wood and has a car engine in it. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Oh, that wood took forever to sand and varnish and get, oh my goodness, it was so much work. I do not recommend that.
Here's a Harley Sportster.
There you go. Is that the 1200 or 850?
Let's go back. That is an 883.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
That's the cubic inch.
It's got 2,400 miles on it.
CC. Oh, wow. Okay.
And a new battery.
So it's the CC displacement of the engine.
Here's a Honda.
Yeah. And if you're looking to buy a motorcycle and you have not ridden many motorcycles, I recommend you start with a smaller displacement motorcycle and gradually work your way up to the bigger ones. The bigger ones are a little bit harder to handle. They'll give you a little bit more challenge and maneuverability. So you want to be sure that you can manage a large motorcycle before you purchase it. Also, large motorcycles tend to be faster, and motorcycle speeds are really phenomenal. So if you're not used to driving or riding a motorcycle, or if you had a 250 when you were going to college and you're looking to buy a new motorcycle, take some time to figure out how to safely ride and use a larger motorcycle, because it's very different riding dynamic on a larger motorcycle. That's a nice vintage Chevy Suburban there.
A 91 with only 114,000 miles.
That's a 1991?
Yeah.
Well,
they look the same for like 15 years.
That's true. It's had a lot of use, that's for sure. But
here's an 89.
Yeah. But you can, believe it or not, up until about, I'm going to say mid 90s, you can restore them, because there's lots of parts available for these rigs, and they're not expensive to restore, because most of the componentry, it's prior to significant computerized electronics. So you can work on them, fix them up pretty easily. They're not that complicated, and they hold up pretty well. What you want to watch out for on any of these, probably pre mid 90s to late 90s General Motors or Ford products in the truck or heavy duty class of vehicles, is frame rust. Frame and body rust can be very problematic, and that's not an easy fix, nor is it a fix you really want to ever be a part of. There's something you don't see often.
Ugh.
Yeah, good thing we're not looking at it again.
Look at this 4Runner.
Yeah, great cars, by the way. Toyota 4Runners, durable, last forever. Regularly see those with sometimes 300,000 miles.
It's a nice Honda Civic right there.
Yeah, and the Honda Civic's a great car, a great I'm going to college dad car. Yeah. A lot of good cars for sale. You know, the used car market is quite active, and more inventory is coming in on a regular basis because people are giving up on their cars. Um, they're not keeping their cars as often as they used to. I think the national average for automotive ownership has the duration has gone down. People used to keep their cars a lot longer than they do now, and that's largely attributed to the change in technology and uh, for a long time the low interest rates. Now that may be changing as interest rates come up and have come up, but so that means the used car market is pretty much filled with good quality cars for a reasonable price.
Yeah, and Race gives us the vehicle auction update. Cars under 10K, very brisk and selling at high pandemic prices. Trucks very soft, along with most car over 30,000.
Yeah.
Jake says that he did not mean supposed to be all sons, no COVID intended. Carol 7 says he's stoked about that auction.
Yes.
He does have PT Cruiser and Ben's C-Class questions, so please ask away.
Fire away. We'll see what we can do for you.
Yes,
the PT Cruiser.
The PT Cruiser, if you can find some, there's some deals out there.
That's right. And people love the PT Cruiser because it is a small wagon package. It has got that vintage vibe to it. When it was designed, it was done during the period where automotive manufacturers were experimenting with retro design.
Yes.
And retro design was taking clues from past car designs and applying them to current car design ideas. So you see that in the PT Cruiser, the Plymouth Prowler, which was sort of a 30s newish looking hot rod design. We saw that with the Ford GT, which was a new version of the former GT40. The Mustang was a new design with retro themed elements from the previous design. The Camaro and the Dodge Challenger, those were also retro designs. And the theme continues to be popular. Porsche probably was the leader in retro design because they never stopped designing the 911 with the same, what they refer to as legacy architecture, which captures the look and feel of the original 911 Porsche with the contemporary 911 design. But I'll tell you what, if you park those two cars next to each other, the original 911 looks like the kid you knew in high school, and then the new 911 looks like he went to the Marines and
came back a little thicker.
Came back a little bit thicker, exactly.
So now Carol says he's read the 08 and 09 are the best years. Ray, of course, says UGG PT Cruiser.
08 and 09 for the PT Cruiser, yeah.
Yes.
I think
best being most reliable of them.
I think that sounds consistent with what I've heard from the past. Is there were some early bugs in those cars, including, I want to say, the transmissions. I think they were known for having some transmission problems. And by 08, 09, I believe they had resolved those. I don't know if they made them by then with a manual transmission. I'm going to say they were automatic by then, or almost exclusively automatic. I can't recall if they offered manual transmission in the PT Cruiser.
They did. They definitely. I've seen a manual.
Okay, but I don't think they were available at that point. That late in production.
It was basically the Neon platform.
Yes.
And they just put this cool body on top of it. When they came out, they were $5-10 grand over sticker. Like, people were going nuts over them.
Yeah, it was a very, very popular car, and people customized them. They put fake wood siding on them and wide
flames. They put flames on them.
Flames on them. Yes, exactly. So,
and Carol has a joke. He's a comedian friend of mine. He has a very funny joke about people putting flames on the side, and he pulls over to a red light and jumps out and starts spraying somebody's car off with a fire extinguisher. It's like, dude, I totally thought your PT Cruiser was on fire. And if he buys one with flames on it, I told him, I said, I'm not a tax attorney, but that might be a write-off.
That could be.
If you're actually driving your punchline.
I often wonder about that as a comedian or as a writer. How much can you write off? Like if you go to the library because you're studying words, could you write off the overdue fees that you have to pay at the library? A library, by the way, is a place that houses books. For those of you that were
What now?
wondering what a library is, it's a giant building that their sole purpose is to give you books for free, unless you return them late, in which they charge you a fee. So, for our millennials out there,
Yeah.
there you go. And you know what we haven't done in a while, and I think we're going to have to do it, is the exorbitant gas prices. The gouging that is occurring is just amazing.
Well, we talked about the Washington State ones.
Well, it's not getting any better. Gas prices now pretty much everywhere are over $5 a gallon. And
not for me. I just plug in.
That's true. You do. But we're still talking about vehicles that use petrochemical fuels. And Adam says, please don't depress me. Adam does a lot of driving. So at $5 a gallon, even if you have a fuel efficient vehicle, if your mileage continues at the same rate comparatively from a year ago, that is in some instances almost double what you paid before. So if your annual fuel costs for somebody who runs commercial rigs, if your annual fuel costs are $10,000, all of a sudden overnight, with those increases annualized, you'll have to spend $20,000, and that's money that cuts directly into the profit margins for businesses that use commercial vehicles for their personal revenues. Most businesses that have vehicles in their fleet, they can write off the cost of the vehicle, annualized, or they can write off and depreciate the value of the vehicle. But the miles that you cover, the fuel that you pay for, that comes directly out of your pocket, because there's no way to really recover those costs. That's a depleted expense. So when fuel prices go up, it significantly impacts not just people driving for personal enjoyment, but it significantly impacts people who make their money doing things like lawn service, plumbing, electrical, any house call, commercial vehicle, construction vehicles, all of those things. And it's very challenging to the people who work and serve our communities on a regular basis.
Now, looking at some prices here, the National is at $353 still.
Yeah, but I think California, Washington, and probably even Oregon, I think we're up in the high fours.
$496 in Washington, $485, $471, $461.
Yeah. And look, that's to some extent, these are summertime prices. We'll see those prices hopefully come down in the fall, but by then I'll be in California and I'll be paying even more for gas.
Wow.
So, my fuel use when I'm going back and forth and being more of an active commuter while I'm teaching, my fuel use is not exorbitant, but I'll consume close to $2,000 in fuel just using the commute time that I do.
Now, Carol did have a Fiat EV. He sold it just in time for the prices to go up.
Yes.
But he had an interesting, he and I were discussing this. He went to sell the car through one of the services, Carvana, which, by the way, their stock is up 5x in 45 days. I thought you sold your $6 stock, Ray. Maybe he kept it.
I thought Ray was complaining a little while ago about the Carvana stuff.
Yeah. And Carvana gave him a number, and then and I believe no, he didn't buy it from them. He bought it through a local dealer. And then Vroom gave him a ridiculous number, and Shift gave him a really strong number. And they, of course, said, "Oh, we've got to inspect it first." They took his car, and they, he was worried they were going to go through and be like, "Oh, we found all these problems, so we're not going to." And now they have your car. It's like, what are you going to do? Now you got to go pick up your car and cancel the deal.
Yeah.
Adam drives between 600 and 1,000 miles a week.
Yeah, that's a big
work.
difference.
But luckily, he does have a fleet card. He's not paying for his own gas.
That's good. Well, a lot of these car companies that do the quote to buy, their quote is predicated on seeing the vehicle in person. Well, when they come see that vehicle, there's always something. They give you a $6,000. We'll give you $6,000. They come up, well, look, the tires, they're this, the brakes are like, when would you do the brakes? And I thought you said you had the service receipts. And, before you know it, your $6,000 bid is now $4,600.
Well, so there was a company, I won't say their name, but when we had cashforcars.com, there was a company that would basically do, they would do stuff like, all right, how much are other people offering for your car? Oh, I'm getting like $3,000 offers. All right, well, it looks like we can offer you $4,500.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so here's what I need you to do. Sign your title. And they told him how to sign the title. And we'll send a guy out. Now, we have to inspect it still to make sure everything is as you say.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'd show up and they go, okay, well, it's not this, it's not this. Yeah, we'll give you $3,000.
Right.
Because they already know what everyone else is offering because they told them. And they beat the offer. So by beating the offer, they take them off the market. They have them sign the title, which now just basically voids their title for anyone else.
Yeah. Well, and it's, there's all sorts of, to some extent, I remember when we were buying a house in the Silicon Valley during the .com rush, many people would come in and there'd be a house for sale for $600,000. And they come, I'll give you $750.
Yeah.
That's my offer, contingent on inspection. And then they get their place in line. So they'd be the top bid and people would accept it. And then the inspector comes through and the inspector says, there needs to be $120,000 worth of foundation work and this work and that work and all this and all that. And so they come back and go, well, we got to back off our offer here. Would you take 6 something? And
yeah.
And by then
they'd even do things where the market's so hot, they offer $750. And then while they're in escrow, they find another buyer for $800.
Yeah, I've heard about that as well.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, they make a quick $50,000 while it's sitting in escrow.
Well, with automobiles, one of the things that's nice is that it's not like real estate. With automobiles, inventory is everywhere. And while it does matter to some extent the zip code where the vehicle might be, and that certain cars are generally cared for with a higher level of maintenance and protection and all that, under certain zip codes. For the most part, a 1979 Pontiac Catalina is essentially the same in most places that you're going to find if you go out and look for one. So that what you're looking for is you're looking for the quality of the vehicle. And oftentimes, depending on the car you're looking for, you don't have to compete that much against buyers as you do with local markets, which is more like real estate.
Yes. Now, Carol asked if Tony's moving to California.
Tony is not moving to California.
No, Tony's staying in Seattle. Raffi, however, has to teach in California every fall.
Yeah, I go Francisco. Down to California College of Art, where I teach industrial design, as you can see from the work I do in my professional world. I teach industrial design at California College of Art. And I did teach for a long time there. I taught and helped develop the graduate program, an MBA program for young entrepreneurs that would start their own businesses. So we did a program there, that 2-year MBA for young entrepreneurs that started some pretty interesting independent companies that are still running today. So
Now, do you have, you obviously you have your California college, so your cca.edu
yes,
email address?
yes, I still have that. I
Because you get
still use it.
discounts.
I can get discounts. Yes, I get educational discounts in various places. And this year I am up for full professorship. So that's something I'm still working on. I have to put together a presentation, and I have to kiss the ring, and
Wow.
go through all of that. Yeah. So that's an honor to be able to have that opportunity, that privilege. So
And you only do one semester a year.
I do 1 semester a year. That's right. I teach all my required lines of teaching, but I still do curricular development work throughout the year remotely, which used to be a problem until the pandemic. And then all of a sudden, overnight, I was an expert because I'd been doing it from.
So Carol says nice.
Yeah.
We'll end on this, I guess. Do you have an old school?
We can wait to do old school another time. That's not a problem at all.
Adam's the ugliest current car, in your opinion, he says the Nissan Cube. Have you
You know,
seen a Nissan Cube? Those are pretty ugly.
The Cube Cube gets a lot of love. It's a really, really unusual design, and not one that that I think was well received when it was first brought out. But it was very risky. It's I wouldn't call it ugly because it is well resolved, but it's very odd looking. It's got strange asymmetry. The general shape of it is kind of weird. Nothing matches very well on it. But I wouldn't necessarily call it ugly. There are a lot of uglier cars than that. I think cars that just miss the proportions completely. I don't think the Yugo was an attractive car under any circumstances. Datsun built a car called the B210, the coupe, which is a pretty frumpy looking, odd looking car. Now that's the Stout Scarab. That's
ugly.
Considered the first SUV. Very unusual design, very unusual package, but for its time, it was quite unusual in its open. Now there's the Crosley. That's the Crosley wagon. I actually owned that series car, the little station wagon. I'm not familiar with that, but it looks like it's a custom, like maybe an Allard. Oh, it is
an Allard.
Okay. And
I'm not going to scroll up until you say what it is.
Okay.
Here's our, we know what that is.
The Square Bird, Ford Thunderbird. This is the Lincoln, I think.
Lincoln Continental.
Yeah. Now this is the distinction. This one was there's the Subaru. Now that's not a very pretty car, but the Lincoln, that car there, I think was the largest production American car ever built. Enormous car. Not very attractive, and it didn't last very long. They changed the design pretty quickly after that. This is the Subaru, the first Subaru. Malcolm Bricklin imported these into the United States. Again, this is not, this is just a little quirky, proportions are a little funky, very unusual car. That is the Citroen, the Ami, I think they call it.
Ami, look at you.
Yeah. And this was very unusual, a very unusual design. This was back when they were experimenting with reverse diagonal. You can see how the rear window reflects the angle of the windshield. This is a very quirky looking car, no doubt. But it's very adored by people. Now, this is the Marlin, the AMC Marlin. This was the later series Marlin. The earlier one is even uglier than this. This is the 60. I
think it's kind of cool looking.
I think so, but this car has been maligned for years, and yet these are sought after by folks. This is an OSI or an
The Lombardy Grand Prix.
Lombardi. Yeah.
Looks like
And
a Lotus.
I would not call this an ugly car
No.
under any circumstance. I think that's a great looking car. This looks like a prototype car, maybe not a production car. Maybe it's a European car. I don't know.
It's a Marcos Mantis.
Okay. Now Marcos has built some unusual looking cars, but I would not have identified that as a Mantis. There's the AMC. This is the Matador, and again, these cars were maligned. But I'll tell you what: you take the bumpers off that car because they were really rather heavy for the design, and you do just a little bit of touch up, clean up, get rid of some of the trim from that era. And that is a good looking car when it's all said and done. Another AMC Matador from the rear.
TR7.
Yeah,
that I recognize.
Yeah, this was the shape of things to come, they said. Aston Martin.
That's a Giugiaro design, 100%.
And look,
right?
this is not an unattractive car. I think you're right. I think Ital designed it.
Yeah, it's got very DeLorean-ish look.
It's a very, very aggressive car.
That's not ugly.
This is a Rolls-Royce Camargue. The Camargue was a two-door Rolls-Royce, which has one of the most interesting design distinctions is that the grille, which is normally on all Rolls-Royces upright and vertical, the Camargue leaned forward by 4 degrees. It's the only Rolls-Royce that had an angled grill, but under no circumstances would I call this. I think this is a Pininfarina. Cimarron, Cadillac.
Cimarron? Oh, yeah, the Cadillac Cavalier.
What
were they thinking?
Awful car. That is an ugly car. Mosler, is that what that is? Consigliere. Yeah, not a pretty car. Not a pretty car at all. Yeah, I would. It looks like a kit car. Now this, come on, that's Alfa Romeo SZ. This is, in my opinion, they call this the monster. This is a fantastic design. If you see this car in person, there's nothing like it out there. It was very aggressive, very advanced for its time, very unusual, and of course,
the Dustbuster.
The Dustbuster,
and its sister,
and the Pontiac. Yep, version of.
Hey, Ray had this car.
Yeah, and these cars,
that's Ray right behind her, by the way, with hair.
When he was younger, they're just not attractive cars. They were hurried to market. General Motors was struggling. No, this is the Aurora, the old.
Yeah,
Aurora.
I don't think the Aurora is ugly.
I thought that was a good looking car,
and
they were very reliable. They were a very reliable car.
I can't pronounce it. Seng-Seng Coronado.
Yeah. Now, Carol suggests the AMC Pacer was the ugliest car. Now,
this is ugly.
The Fiat Multipla, the later series Fiat, this is an ugly car. There is
I can't
no
even
doubt.
look at it.
You can't look at it. Renault.
I'm waiting to get to the Aztec because it's got to be in here. This isn't ugly.
No, I wouldn't call it an ugly car.
Or the Jeep Compass.
Nor would I call that ugly. Now, this is one of those retro Mitsubishi cars that was done for the Japanese market, made to look like a Rolls Royce. Yeah, it's ugly. I would agree. It looks like no, that's not ugly. That's fine. Also fine. Yeah, not a problem. I don't have any problem with that. This is now the Rolls Royce SUV. I do have some problems with that. This is 90s for American cars, and I wouldn't necessarily say ugly, but not your favorite sort of overall look. And of course, everybody's favorite whipping boy is the Pontiac Aztec.
Yes. And speaking of whipping boy, we're done.
We're done.
We went over again.
All right.
Big stretch. Oh, my arms disappeared. All right. So the 22nd of February, or of July, you and I are going to get up early in the morning.
Yes.
get in a car and drive to Kent, Washington, to the Pacific Raceways.
Yep.
For the NHRA Grand Nationals and we'll sit in the owner's box.
2023 blowout.
Yes. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
That's right.
Saturday. Now, Saturday night, if you want to go, we could drive down to Ridgefield, which is towards Portland, and see Debbie Gibson perform. You're like, no, not going.
The fact that you even know that is problematic.
Well, I mean, she's potentially Leah in the sitcom. I have to keep tabs on what's going on.
I guess so.
It's the first time.
I'm actually pretty close. I got to get a couple things taken care of, but I'm heading off to the Futures game. So I'm going to go watch the Mariners prospects play ball at the stadium, and this is the beginning of the big. They've got the entire week dedicated to All-Stars. And
wow!
So
Adam says if he shows up, can he get in the owner's box? Sadly, no. I can only get 2 passes, and it's Raffi and I. And my son's not even going this year. He went with me last year because Raffi couldn't go.
Well, we'll bring some ear protection.
But we will be there. You would have to buy a ticket to get in, sadly.
Thousands of horsepower. It's
so loud.
Yeah.
It is so loud.
Loud, and the smell as well is pretty memorable.
I enjoy the smell.
Burning nitromethane.
And the burning tires. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the show for this week. I guess we'll see everybody next week.
And then the following week, I think we're live.
Is that the 22nd? Or I guess 14 and 8. Yeah. So in 2 weeks. So not next week, the following week.
Yep. All right.
Well, if you have any questions during the week, just hold them until next week.
You know where to find us.
We'll be here.
See you.
Not even using water, just soap.